Sefer Mishlei, Perek Yud Bet. We're continuing off where we left off from last week. We're in the middle of the Perek, chapter 12, Pasuk Tetvav, verse 15. In this second half of the Perek, Shlomo Melech distinguishes between the way of the fool and the way of the wise, the various differences in their attitudes, in what they value. And he begins to say as follows: Derech evil yashar be'einav v'shomea le'etzah chacham. The way of the fool is right in his own eyes, but he who listens to advice, to counsel, is wise. This idea may have been expressed in other pesukim, but the point is a very important point. One of the main differences between one who is a fool and one who is a chacham is that the fool always thinks he's right and does not think that he needs to get advice from others. He thinks he knows better, whereas one who is wise is one who does not want to make any mistakes, especially before an important decision in his life. It is in his own best interest to seek the counsel of those who are more experienced, those who are more knowledgeable. So that is an immediate difference between one who is a chacham and one who is an evil, a fool. It is truly foolish to think you know everything. It is not a good idea to do things on your own. And I'm going to give you one example of a major decision in one's life. For those of you who just came here to hear the lecture about marriage, about how to date perhaps, shidduchim is an important area in one's life, and it's always a good idea to seek counsel. Sometimes parents are involved in the decision making, in choosing a mate, even though we truly believe. Sometimes the parents are involved in the shidduch, in helping the young man or the young woman make a decision. Sometimes it's the shatchan. It's the one who brings the couple, the young couple together, who advises, who really has an interest. And then sometimes it's a friend. Nevertheless, this is one of the most important decisions we will ever make, and therefore it is a good idea, especially if you have any doubts, is to get a second opinion as to what they think about this young man, about this young woman. Is this a good match or not? Even though everything is min hashamayim, nevertheless you want to feel somewhat secure about your decision. The opposite example of this is Shimshon, as it is described, him telling his parents, Ki hi yashra be'einai, I like her, she is good in my eyes. Rabbis tell us the reason why he made a mistake is because he went after what his eye sees. And what the eye sees is not always good. It's very superficial. You cannot see into the depth of things, and it may not see the reality of things. So Shimshon made a mistake. Hashem allowed him, of course, to make this mistake because Hashem had another plan. Nevertheless, it was the wrong idea to go after Delilah, to go after that woman who was not even Jewish to begin with. So in making decisions, it's the right thing to do. Just like before one undergoes a major operation, he sometimes seeks 3 opinions from 3 doctors just to see what the majority will say. So the same is true with any major decision. Don't think that we know it all. It would be foolish to think that way. The derech of the chacham is to seek advice. Shomea le'etzah chacham. Now, since the fool thinks he knows better, since the fool is going to be stubborn and is not going to listen to the advice of others, as a parent or as a teacher or as a rabbi, it is our responsibility to let him know, nevertheless, you're making a mistake, you're going to regret it, it is a terrible decision that you're making. Regardless of his attitude, if we are confident that he is wrong, he or she is wrong, we have to tell him. Because he's an evil, he's a fool. On his own, he may have to learn it the hard way. But it's still our responsibility to let him know. You never know, first of all. Maybe he will listen. Maybe one of these days it will sink in. So we have to let know those who are fools, those who are stubborn, that they are wrong, that we know better, that we have the experience, and that they may have to learn it the hard way. And chaval. It will be a shame for someone to learn it the hard way. But that's what happens to the fools, to those who think they know it better. A truly chacham person, a truly wise person, knows that he may be making a mistake and he wants a second opinion. He will listen to all the opinions and he will hopefully make the right decision. Next pasuk, Evil bayom yivada ka'aso v'chosek kalon arum. A fool's anger, wrath, is immediately known. A prudent man conceals disgrace. Rabbis tell us there's several ways you can identify an individual, you can figure someone out. Bekiso, bekoso, beka'aso. Through his pocket, how he spends his money, when he spends, when he does not spend, how he drinks, or when he drinks, what he says after he has had a lot to drink. Beka'aso, through his anger, when one becomes angry, he may say things that he would not ordinarily say. So you can tell a lot about an individual in those three challenging moments, or where his pocket is involved, where his finances are going to be touched, or when there is drinking involved, or when there is an angry moment. These are ways to identify. Others suggest that even during a time of laughter and joy, you might be able to detect some things. A fool is therefore one who almost immediately you can tell he's a fool, because he gets angry almost quickly. Just everything bothers him, everything angers him. He does not conceal his anger. He does not think about what just happened. That is through the kas, through anger. So it is foolish to let your anger loose. Not only are you revealing a part of yourself, it may not be something to get angry over. The chosek kalon arum, whereas one who covers up the disgrace, he's a prudent man. To cover up disgrace means that even if one is insulted, one does not immediately react. He covers it up. He makes believe he did not hear what he just heard. He doesn't make anything of it immediately. That is someone who is prudent. So this is again an important lesson in the proper attitude. Shlomo Melech is not just telling us, by the way, this is a chacham, this is a navil, this is an arum, this is a kesil or whatever. He's telling us what we should adapt and why this is important. Because if somebody does not control himself, which is what basically a navil does, a navil shows a lack of self-control, it is a problem. If you're dating someone and you see he has a temper on the date, well, most people try to disguise all their weaknesses in a date. Some people are not good in disguising it. So if you detect these things, you might tell your mother, well, it's okay, I'll deal with it. Eventually, I'm sure when I marry her or him, it's going to be okay. A lot of people have said that and have lived to regret it. There are some disturbing signs. There are some signals that if you see them early on, pay close attention to them. A certain attitude that a person has while you're dating them. Let's say you want to be their partner. We're not talking about shidduchim. You want to be their partner. You want to go into a partnership with them. And these people have a bad reputation. Don't think that just because you're going to be their partner, you're going to change them, things are going to improve. Pay close attention to all these attitudes, because they tell you if this man is an evil, or if he's a chacham, or if he's a arum, prudent person. There's a lot of things you can tell by a person's behavior. So basically, an evil does not have self-control. That's a very important idea here. Cannot control himself. That's why he gets angry quickly. And the other individual who's prudent is able to hold himself back and think about the situation and not react immediately. Next pasuk, Yafiach emunah yagid tzedek ve'et shekarim mirma. He who speaks truth regularly, yagid tzedek. Here he translates, will give just evidence. We can accept his testimony. He's always a truthful man. We can rely on him. We believe him. He's always said the truth. People have a reputation either as being truthful, sincere or not. That's what he says over here. Yafiach emunah. He's always expressing emunah, truth. Ve'et shekarim mirma, but a false witness deceits. Another very important idea. You have an individual that comes to court and you want to know if to trust him or not. Well, does he have a reputation as someone who says the truth? Do people have anything bad to say about him? Has he ever lied in the past? Could we accept his testimony or not? This is very important. One who has obviously made himself a reputation of lying or cheating, you cannot accept his testimony. And if you do, you have to investigate it further on to see perhaps there's something else that we're missing here. Rabbis tell us, Nikarim divrei emet. If you pay close attention to what someone is saying, nikarim divrei emet, you can tell who's saying the truth and who's lying through his mouth. Nikarim divrei emet, if you pay close attention, you can really tell. We don't always pay close attention, so we have to investigate and look into and find evidence. But it would help to know the person's background of how he deals with others in business matters, whether he's honest and truthful. Next pasuk, Yesh bote ki mitkerot harev uleshon chachamim marpeh. There's one who speaks like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. One who speaks or expresses himself like the piercing of a sword is talking. It refers to over here to an individual who's motzi shemra. We've spoken in the past about lashon hara. Lashon hara meaning those who gossip, those who tattletale, those who spread bad rumors, even though it may be true. That's called lashon hara. Motzi shemra is one who gives someone a bad reputation, usually a false reputation. That is like piercing of a sword. Words are very powerful, and the rabbis tell us, "Kol hamotzi la'az al mishpacha en lo kapara olamit." That whoever is motzi la'az, whoever gives a family a bad reputation, says something terrible about a family, he does not have an atonement ever, because of the consequences of that bad reputation, how that may affect the kids of that family. Whether it's for shidduchim, whether it's for finding a job, one has to be extremely careful. Lo lotzi shemra, even if you know something negative, it doesn't mean you have to share it with others. It all depends what it is. It all depends what the circumstances are. You have to be very careful, because these words are kematkerot harev. They're like the piercing of a sword. The continuation of the pasuk that the leshon chachamim is marpeh, that the words or the tongue of the chachamim are healing. The Gaon of Vilna says that's talking about one who nichshal belashon hara, one who made the mistake of speaking lashon hara. The cure for that is to study Torah, to study the words of the chachamim. They heal. That is the takana of Baal lashon hara, yasok b'Torah. Another idea that is mentioned in the Gemara about this pasuk is yesh boteh. There are those who express themselves in a way that is very dangerous, and that is in the area of nedarim, the area of making promises and vows. That's very dangerous. Rabbis tell us whoever uses nedarim regularly is careless about making promises. Ra'ui litkoroto b'cherev. He is worthy of being litkoroto, of stabbing him with a sword, because it's dangerous. Nedarim, promises. However, if he did make that mistake of making a promise, there's always leshon chachamim marpeh. There's always a way, depending on the promise, to release himself through going to a chacham. So the chacham, in a way, can save a person's neder. If he realizes later on, oh, he didn't mean it that way. He didn't realize it would be so hard, and he made a neder. There are ways to make hatarat nedarim, which we will all be making soon, either Erev Rosh Hashanah, Erev Yom Kippur. Release oneself from certain vows. So this pasuk could also be referring to being careless with making nedarim. Nevertheless, we have the ability to release it ourselves through going to a chacham. Lashon chachamim marpeh, another interpretation of these words, that the tongue of the chachamim is healing, is when we hear rebuke. A lot of people are very good in giving rebuke and criticizing, in telling us off what's wrong with what we're doing. The advantage that the chachamim have is they don't only rebuke, they show us the right way of doing things. So it's healing. It's not only talking about the bad, pointing out the negative, it's also guiding us in how to do the good. So this is an advantage, to be able to have a chacham, to be able to go to a chacham, not just to hear the negative, but to hear how to make the change for the good. Next pasuk, Sefat emet ikon la'ad ve'ad argia leshon shaker. The lip of the truth, or of truth, should be established forever, but a lying tongue is only but for a moment. This is also a very important idea. Rabbis tell us, "Hasheker en lo raglaim." Falsehood, lies do not have feet. They do not last long. Eventually, as the rabbis tell us about a thief, sof ganav litliya. The end of a thief is that he will be hanged. In the end, that which is false, untrue, will be discovered. Lies do not last forever. Truth is permanent. Truth lasts forever. As you know, a liar has a big problem. He has several problems. First of all, the rabbis tell us what's the punishment of a liar. Even when he speaks the truth, they don't believe him anymore. This time he's speaking the truth. No, they won't believe him. That's one of the punishments of a liar. He has no reliability. In other words, you can't trust him at all. The second problem a liar has is, he said something today, and it's a lie. You ask him tomorrow to corroborate, and he doesn't remember his lies. So the rabbis tell us a liar has a problem. He has to remember his lies. Sfat emet yikol la'ad. But one who speaks truthful does not have that problem. He will always be able to repeat it. It has permanence because it's the truth. Nothing to be ashamed of. To be a liar, therefore, is not an easy job. You have to remember your lies. All the fabrications. All the details. And you know what? The police know about these things. I guess they learned Mishlei. And they know that if you ask the liar a week or two from now to go over the exact same thing, the details have changed. They cannot remember all the details that they've had to make up. The words of the one who speaks the truth will always be acceptable. They will always be received. Tikon la'ad, they have permanence. Whereas the one who lies will have a problem. People will not believe him, even, as we said, even when he speaks the truth. Next pasuk, Mirma belev chorshe ra uleyatzeh shalom simcha. Deceit is in the heart of those who plot evil, but the counselors of peace have joy. Alright, in different words. Mirma belev chorshe ra. There are those individuals who do not have your best interests in mind. Even though they might approach you, and they might give you some advice, and they might say something like, you know what, that individual is not a good person. Don't befriend him. Don't do business with him. It's very possible that this advice is not the right advice, and the reason why that individual is saying it that way is because he hates that other individual. Mirma belev chorshe ra therefore means be careful from those who have bad ideas, bad thoughts. It may be just mirma. In other words, even though he might be telling you, I'm doing this for your good, please listen to me, this is for your own good. If this is a man who is chorshe ra, he always has these strange ideas. In other words, he's not an honest person. He always has these bad thoughts, giving you the wrong ideas. Don't listen to him when he says this advice is for your own good. It cannot be. No one who is a true friend will give you bad advice. So if this man says something which is very negative about someone else, or does not sound right, or is corrupt, be careful. It could be it's all mirma. The only reason he's saying it that way is because he wants to get back at someone else. He hates that other individual, but it's not for your benefit. It's not for your good. Uleyatzeh shalom simcha. Those who advise peace, those who suggest peace, those who want to make peace amongst people, there's simcha. There's two interpretations over here. One is that everybody will love them, everybody will like them. If that is the approach is to make peace, to advise peace, not to advise something that is wrong. Oh, he did this to you, you go ahead and do this to him. Yoatzeh shalom, those who counsel peace, simcha, in the end everybody will love them for that advice. That is one interpretation. Another interpretation is those who are chorshe ra, those who think up of all sorts of ideas that are not right, they're crooked, they have what to be concerned about. At some point, their plot and their lies will be uncovered. Yoatzeh shalom simcha, they can be in peace, they can be happy because they have nothing to hide. They have nothing to be concerned about. They are truly giving you the best advice that they can. Next pasuk, Chaf Aleph, Lo yemune latzadik kol aven u'resha'im ale'ura. No evil shall happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with trouble. Also very important pasuk. A tzaddik is one who's always careful, as much as possible. But there are things that he's unaware of. In Yiddish there's a saying, it's very saying, if it's meant to happen, if it's bashert, as they say in Yiddish, then all of a sudden we become blind. Did you understand that expression? If something is bashert, if something is meant to happen from above, then all of a sudden we become blind. Why didn't I see this? Why wasn't I aware of this? Because it was meant to happen. So there are things that are meant to happen that are beyond our control, that we are unaware of, that we can't tell. We do our best. We really do our best. And a tzaddik really does his best to be honest, to be just, to do the right thing. He's careful with eating kosher. Will you think that Hashem will allow him to make a mistake in eating something not kosher? No. Raglei Hasidav Yishmor, the pasuk says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu watches the feet of those who are his Hasidim. Because he is careful, then Hashem will protect him mikol michshol, whenever it may happen. I'll give you a quick story that happened in the late 80s in Magen David, when we were still in Magen David. Moshe, you remember? We had our big Mordechai Eliyahu speak there, the late 80s. And he told the following story. He says, once I was giving a lecture and somebody brought me a cup of tea. And in my lecture, I got a little bit excited and I moved my hands and I spilled a cup of tea. So of course the person who brought it felt bad and he went to get me another cup of tea. So he brought me the cup of tea, and in the midst of all the talk, I knocked the cup of tea over. And now I really felt bad. So I said, you know what? Wait a minute, don't bring me another cup of tea. Let's try to figure this out. We Jews, we believe that everything has a reason. Things don't happen by themselves. This could be significant. Tell me, where did you cook this hot water? Where did you get the hot water from? He says, from the tea kettle. Okay. Does anybody use this tea kettle other than you? He says, yeah. The Arab worker, when he comes in the morning, once in a while, he makes himself eggs in this tea kettle. Oh, now I understand. The Arab made himself eggs in the tea kettle. You know what that does to the tea kettle? It makes it asur. He makes it tarif. A goy that cooks in your pots and pans by himself, for himself, his food, or even for you sometimes, depending on the food, he makes the pot or pan tarif. That means I was being served this hot water from a pot that is tarif. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not allow tzaddikim to make a mistake for something that they are unaware of. They have no control. It appears to be something innocent here. Even the guy who made the hot water didn't realize that. Either was unaware or didn't realize or whatever. But Baruch Hashem, they were able to find out. Hashem will not allow a tzaddik to fall, to make a mistake, if he's so careful. And I like to tell the famous story of two Spanish Jews who ran away from Spain on their way to some other community. And in the way they stopped somewhere. And they had nowhere to go, and each one went to find a home where he can be there temporarily. It appeared to both of them that they were entering a truly Catholic home, because there were crosses everywhere, and they felt bad that they had to be in such a home. They felt bad when they were fed whatever food they were given, but they had no choice. They really felt bad that they had to eat non-kosher food, but this was an emergency, this was an unusual situation, they were hiding. Anyway, at the end of their short stay, the host comes over to one of them. There were two hosts. And one host tells the man who was staying by him, I want you to rest assured that you were in the home of religious Jews. What you see hanging in the wall, don't pay attention. That's just a disguise. You ate kosher food, we are Jewish, we're Marano Jews, we observe the Torah, and everything here is done properly. Therefore, you don't have to worry about the food that you ate. It was 100% kosher. Oh, Baruch Hashem. He was very thankful. The other friend had no such luck. They didn't confess, they didn't do anything. They were real pure Catholic. So the two went on their trip, and when they finally arrived at the destination, the one who unfortunately ate the non-kosher food had a big question. He felt terrible. Why was my friend luckier than me? That he was able to get into a house that was kosher, and I fell into a house that was non-kosher. So the rabbi asked them, tell me, did you ever voluntarily eat non-kosher food? He says, only one time in my life. When I was younger, I had some non-Jewish friends, and we all went on a picnic, and they brought along some non-kosher cheese, and I was tempted to taste it. And I ate the non-kosher cheese that one time. So the rabbi says, you see, because you were not careful, you voluntarily ate the non-kosher food, Hashem did not go out of his way to protect you, to make a special miracle. Your other friend was always careful. So Hashem made it so that he should be protected even during the time of need where he had no control. Hashem protects those who protect themselves from kol michshol, from any stumbling block. That's the meaning of lo yiruneh latzadik kol aven. Hashem will not make it happen that a tzaddik will make a mistake. This is also true, the commentaries say, when we're talking about giving advice. When a tzaddik has to give advice to others. Imagine people, hundreds and thousands of people are coming to seek the advice of a big rabbi. Hashem will make it so that whatever the rabbi tells him is the right advice, not the wrong advice. Because no mistake should happen, should come to a tzaddik. Urasha'im mal'ura, but with the Rasha'im, with those who are evil, obviously they don't have such luck. They're full of mistakes, they do a lot of evil. Hashem does not give them the same protection. And because of that, you have to be very careful when you seek the advice of one who is not a righteous person. The advice that he's giving you may be wrong. Not only because his ideas are wrong, but there's no guarantee that what he's saying is right. Alright, next pasuk. To'avat Adonai siftei shaker ve'oseh emunah retzono. Hashem does not like, it's an abomination to Hashem those who lie or who deceive, who are not truthful, but those who deal truly are His delight. Commentaries explain that what's different about this from the other pesukim where we've spoken already about those who are truthful, honest, and those who are liars and cheaters. Here we're talking about another individual, shemaftiach velo mekayem. He promises and he does not deliver. That is also a form of lie. There are a lot of people who have this attitude. They paint a rosy picture. They make all sorts of promises. And they don't deliver. And we're talking about those that milechatchila, from the very beginning, that is their intention. If somebody really was going to do something and he just couldn't make it, that's something else. That's called honest. It happens that we run into an emergency, a situation that is not in our control. But one who is siftei shakeh from the very beginning, his heart and his mouth are lo shavim. Piv velibo lo shavim, the rabbis call it. His mouth and his heart are not the same. From the very start, he never really wants to do so, and whatever he says is not to be taken seriously. There are some who claim that they have a tremendous bitachon in Hashem, tremendous reliance in Hashem, but when a challenge occurs and they're asked to give tzedakah, they close their hands. In other words, their heart and their mouth are not in the same place, and therefore all their promises are worthless. Oseh emunah retzono, and those who are truthful, they are His delight. What is an example of those who are truthful? Not only one who delivers on what he promises, but even ones whose original thoughts, whatever his original thought was, he fulfills. The best example for this is a very famous story that is brought down. I think it's in the Gemara, of a great rabbi who was a businessman. And somebody came to buy some merchandise from him. The rabbi was in the middle of the Amidah of Shmon Esrei. I think he actually was a goy. Alright, I'd like to buy this red wool, or whatever it was that he was buying. How much do you want? Will you take $15 a yard? That's a lot, I know, but just as an example. And he doesn't get a response. Alright, I'll give you 20. No response. He goes up till 50. A lot more per yard. Now that's a big difference between the original price and what he was ready to give, and just sell it to me. When the rabbi finishes his Amidah, he goes over to the roll of wool and says, here, I'll take $15 a yard. This is what I originally intended to sell it for. I'm not going to take advantage of you just because you didn't understand that I was in the middle of the Amidah. You took that to mean that I refused. I just couldn't answer you back. Pure honesty. He could have easily taken the 50. Yeah, 50 sounds right. No, but his original idea, his original thoughts were to give it for 15, and that's what he fulfilled. Oseh emunah, that is one who acts be'emunah. Even his thoughts, even though he had a thought, he never said it. He does what his thoughts were. Yes?
Did you say that in this example the purchaser was a non-Jew?
I think he may have been a non-Jew, because otherwise he would have understood that this man is in the middle of Shmoneh Esrei. I think so, yeah.
Isn't there, I thought when we learned business ethics that there's no such obligation to sell at the going rate, so to speak, a non-commodity, or even a commodity to a non-Jew. What's the problem with that? What's the problem with charging the non-Jew?
No, this was an example of a price that the rabbi was originally intended to sell it for. He wasn't going to take advantage of this man's ignorance that he was in the middle of the prayer. He could have easily accepted the higher amount, but his original intention was to sell it for the lower amount. He wasn't going to change his mind just because of the ignorance of this goy.
Halakhically, though, would the rabbi have a problem?
No, there would be no problem halakhically, even with a Jew. But this is not a true ish emunah. His thoughts are worth something. In other words, whatever he intended to do, he carries out. It's a form of lying. It's a form of lying, of not going ahead with what your original thoughts were. It's deceit, even though nobody's aware of it, even though it's not asur completely. It's not asur completely, you changed your mind. No, here he was very, very honest person, to the point where he was willing to go ahead and just charge whatever he had in mind all along. He was not going to take advantage of this individual because he was total ignoramus. You know, that is really ish emunah. All right, next pasuk. Adam arum koseh da'at velev kesilim mikra ivelet. Here he translates it. Just 1 second. A prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaims his foolishness. A wise man, a prudent man, thinks before he says something. Thinks a lot before he says it. A fool, the heart of a fool, does not think, and he's willing to say things that eventually he may regret. That's the simple meaning here. Rabbis tell us that this is talking about surot ra'ot, bad news. A prudent man does not reveal bad news. The typical example is you have somebody that's very old in the house, an aunt, an uncle, a father or mother, or whatever, and one of their immediate relatives passed away. It's a question in halakha: do you need to tell them right away so they should sit shiv'ah? When you know that this bad news may disturb them, and it does disturb most people, even young people, the more so one who is older and sensitive and somebody who dear to him, you know. So the right thing to do is to not tell them right away if they're very old, but to wait. Even though they will not be sitting the shiv'ah, they will still be sitting a little bit of time as soon as they hear about it. What you can do is be meramez. You can hint. You can let them know indirectly, and if they're able to figure it out, fine. So Adam arum koseh da'at, a prudent man, is able to conceal certain sensitive information, whereas velev kesilim yikra ivelet, a fool just talks about it, proclaims it, announces it, is not sensitive, does not realize that what he's about to say may hurt someone, may hurt himself. There are certain things that you're not supposed to disclose. Rabbis tell us that even if somebody is very knowledgeable, he doesn't have to talk about it. Tell everybody how much he knows about something. The next pasuk, Yad harutzim timshol urmiyat yeh lamas. The hand of a diligent man should rule, but some say it's the lazy man, but I would translate the simple translation, urmiyat yeh lamas, one who's deceitful, eventually will fall. Lamas, some say misim, it's tribute, but most commentaries say here lamas means that he will melt, he will fall, he will have a downfall. Those who are diligent will rule. In other words, it pays to make your money in a kosher way, in a diligent way. Those who do so, timshol, in the end, they will climb up the mountain, and they will rule, and they will stay where they are, because they did it the hard way. They earned it in the kosher way. But those who earn their money, who try to make it to the top through remiyah, through deceit, in the end, tiyeh lamas, in the end they will fall. It doesn't pay. And some people don't learn the lesson because they don't read history. History repeats itself all those who think that they can make a quick buck in a corrupt way by stealing from others, by cheating, they don't realize that this will not last. Whereas Yad Harutzim, those who earn their money in a diligent way through hard work, Timshol, they have a much better chances of remaining on top. We've come to a very important pasuk, a very famous pasuk. What do we do about worries? A lot of people worry. There's nothing to worry about. If it's something from the past, it's gone. If it's something in the future that hasn't come yet. So what are we worried about? If you can't do anything about a situation, then why worry about it? The simple interpretation here of these words is, if you can't do anything about the situation, is just remove the worry from your mind. Just put it aside. It doesn't do any good to worry about it. But let me finish. In the Gemara, however, there's a discussion about this pasuk, and the rabbis say that there is more meaning here. Shlomo Melech is actually telling us some good advice, not just to remove it. One rabbi says, yes, just remove it. Yeshchena means yeshchena, remove it. That's what the word yashchena. The simple translation of the word yashchena means put it down. Just leave it alone. Don't pay attention to it. So one rabbi says that's what Shlomo Melech meant. Just remove it. The other rabbi says, no. Shlomo Melech is actually giving us advice that one of the best ways to deal with worries is yesihena le'acherim. You have a worry, talk about it to others. When you have a worry on your mind, one of the best therapies on dealing with this worries is to talk about it with other people. And once you start talking about it, even psychologists say it's healthy. You take it out of your heart, out of your mind, and perhaps you would get good advice. But I like the continuation of the pasuk. The continuation of the pasuk has a little bit more powerful piece of advice. Davar tov yisamechena. If you really have a problem with some situation that you're worried about, davar tov yisamechena. Introduce into your mind something good that should make you happy, and that should cancel out the worries. What is the simple thing that can cancel out any worries? Gamzu latova. That's what the commentaries explain. That one of the easiest thoughts that one can have when he has a difficult time because of some sort of trouble in his life, something that is worrying him, davar tov yisamechena. Introduce something that will make you happy. During these floods in Louisiana, there are a lot of people who are not only worried, they're bitter, they're crying, they're sad, depressed, all the adjectives that you can think of. And it's not a funny thing. What they're going through, it's incredible. Nevertheless, there were some firemen who went to rescue them that felt that the right thing was to do is to do something, to say something on a lighter note, and to make them happy. And they succeed sometimes. What's something on a lighter note? Baruch Hashem, you're alive, because all the material things that you've owned can always be replaced. You're alive. That's not something on a lighter note, but it's definitely something which is mesameach, something which gladdens the heart. And that is the right thing to do. People make a big mistake sometimes when they go to comfort those who are mourning, and they just say the wrong thing. They tell them, kaparat avonot. That's not the right thing to say to somebody who's mourning when it's still fresh on his mind. What you just lost is an atonement for your sins. Read the book, if you have a chance, read the book of Iyov, and you will see how some of his best friends try to suggest all sorts of things, and Hashem says they're all wrong in their way, in their approach of how to comfort someone. Yeah, you have to be careful. I just read an article about singles. Some of these singles who are over 40, they have a problem. Every time they go to a simcha, people are so insensitive. They come over to them and they say, Imirtz Hashem Bayu. They've heard this Imirtz Hashem Bayu hundreds and hundreds of times. They don't want to hear it anymore. You have to be sensitive to these individuals who are going through a very hard time, and not just say something that is like stepping on them. They've heard this already.
Like what Reisman says, for every dollar, if a person says that, they give you $1 for every time somebody said it.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Yeah, it's not the right thing to do. You have to be sensitive.
So what do you do with the mourner? How do you speak to the mourner?
It all depends. I can't give you right now a clear explanation or words of what to say, depending on who it is. It's a man or a woman, if it was a child, if it was a father, if it was a young man, an old man, a sick man. There's so many things that you can say. But obviously, the biggest mitzvah is to be there and to allow them to first. So you cannot begin to speak until they begin to speak. And based on what they will say, you go along and give them the support. Your loss is our loss. And we share in your evil. Your pain is our pain. That is the most basic nechama, because then the person does not feel that he's all on his own. You mean, everybody is sharing in my pain. Everybody has come to see me. Everybody has come to be with me during this difficult moment. Just one's presence there is very helpful. Even if you say no words, it means that we sympathize with them, we're with them. But you have to be careful what you say about the whole situation, because it may not be correct, it may not comfort him, it may make things worse. So there are certain guidelines of what one can say. So anyway, davar tov yisamechena, it's a good thing for a person to think of positive ideas when he's going through a hard time, how everything is min Hashem, gamzu letovah, there's nothing to worry about, everything will work out, and so forth. You can appreciate now what the Gemara says, that a poor man that comes to your door and you give him tzedakah, you're going to get 5 blessings. A poor man that comes to your door and you're going to give him tzedakah and you're going to make him feel good, you get 11 blessings. Ha-mefaiso, one who's mefayes, who makes the poor man feel good, gets 11 blessings. You get more blessings for making the poor man feel good than for giving him money. You can give him $180, but if you give it to him with a sour face, it would have been better not to give him a penny. You can give him $5, but you can encourage him, and you can help him out. You can make him feel good, perhaps giving a drink, and hear his story. That may be a much bigger mitzvah than the amount of money one may have given the poor man. A lot of people make this mistake too. The poor man knocks on the door, or another one. Why don't you start to work for a living? People really, say the worst things, that they embarrass the man. How come you're always coming back? Didn't I already give you last year? Yeah, but this is another year. You still need the money? What's going? These people have to go through so much embarrassments. We have to put ourselves in their shoe. They may have left behind their wife who's pregnant with 8 little children at home. They may have left behind somebody who's sick, about to go through major operation. They don't know the language. This is their first time here. They're as it is embarrassed to ask for money, for assistance. I've had people who said to me, I used to help people out. I was once a wealthy man, and look what I've come to, that I have to ask people for help now. I can't pay my bills. And the bank is going to take my house away if I don't come up with the money to pay for the mortgage. All sorts of stories. One has to be sensitive to them. Make them feel good. That is a bigger mitzvah than giving them the money. Give them money too, but making them feel good is even a bigger mitzvah. The Gaon of Vilna says on this pasuk, "B'davar tov yisamechena," we're talking about all Torah. Kol ha'mekabel al atzmo all Torah ma'avirim mimeno ha'deagot. Whoever accepts upon himself the yoke of Torah, they will remove from him all the worries. One who learns Torah, the Torah makes him happy. The Torah reminds him that all of this is just hevel avalim. It's nothing to get excited about, nothing to worry about. That is the davar tov yisamecheno. That is the good thing that one should immerse himself in. All right, next pasuk. Yater mer'eu tzaddik v'derech reshaim tat'em. The tzaddik has an advantage over his friend. In the wicked, let's see how he translates over here. The way the wicked leads them astray. All right. The way of the wicked lead them astray. In other words, they make mistakes. What advantage does the tzaddik have over his friend? The simple meaning over here is, a tzaddik generally is a vatran ve'savlan. Vatran means that he gives in. He doesn't always insist on being right. And he is sablan. He's willing to tolerate other people. He's patient with others. These are the advantages that a tzaddik has over those who are not tzaddikim. Those who are reshaim, who think that to give in is not a right thing to do. A rasha is misled by his thinking that the way to win in this world is by being strong, by abusing others, by cheating others, not by giving in, by being patient, by being tolerant. All these things don't mean anything to the Rasha. So the tzaddik has the advantage over his friend by possessing these beautiful qualities. That is one idea. The other idea over here is as follows. The rabbis tell us that all these pesukim are related. The pasuk of worries with the pasuk of a tzaddik having an advantage. As the story goes like this, there was once a Hasid that met up with his friend who was worried. What are you all worried about? If it's a worry about Olam Hazeh, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu remove that worry from you. If it's a worry about Olam Haba, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu increase those worries for you. Worries about Olam Haba, meaning worries about mitzvot, how to perfect oneself, those kind of worries you should have. Worries about Olam Hazeh, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu diminish and remove them from you. That is the meaning over here of the Agab belev ish yashchena v'davar tov yisamechena. If it's a worry about Olam Hazeh, may it be removed. If it's a davar tov, a worry about Olam Haba, yisamechena, encourage that kind of a worry. Therefore comes along the next pasuk, yater mere'eu tzaddik, that the tzaddik has an advantage over other people because the tzaddik has the right attitude. He has no worries about Olam Hazeh. Olam Hazeh is shtuyot, it's nonsense. On that, the tzaddik has an advantage over the rasha. Only the rasha, derech reshaim tat'em, he's the one that's worried because all these things mean so much to him. The Olam Hazeh, if he does not have the latest car, if he does not have a large mansion, if he does not have the American dream of a house and a dog, he's miserable. Yatem mere'eu tzaddik, therefore the tzaddik has an advantage because he has the right attitude. This is unimportant. This is shtuyot. What am I going to fight about? This is ridiculous. Another few dollars here, another few dollars there. What for? As long as I have what to wear, as long as I have what to eat. There are a lot of people who are worse off than me. I always encourage people to go to hospitals and see how many people are worse off than us. And give thanks to Kadosh Baruch Hu that we can walk, we can go to the restroom, we don't have problems, we can see, we can hear. We take for granted these things. Yater mere'eu tzaddik, the tzaddik has an advantage over the simple person, over the wicked person, that his attitude is, all these things of Olam Hazeh are not important. Why should I therefore worry about them? Therefore he has peace of mind. And peace of mind, I think, is more precious than all the money in the world. Peace of mind. That's what the tzaddik has. Two more pesukim we have here. Lo yachroch remiyat tzedo v'hon adam yakar harutz. Some say it's talking about a lazy man. Others say it's talking about one who cheats. Lo yachroch remiyat tzedo. He who takes his catch, the remiyah, will not roast his catch. In the olden days, when they used to catch a bird, they used to burn the wings so they should not fly away. They would not just cut off the wings because they wanted to sell something intact. So he says, Lo yachroch remiyat tzedo. One who has remiyah, one who has deceit, will not succeed in roasting his catch. In other words, it will not remain with him. All that money that was earned in a non-kosher way will not stay with him. It's also talking about one who has all this money and does not give tzedakah. That money will not remain with him. But the hon adam yakar harutz. But the true wealth of a person is his diligence. In other words, that which is done through diligence, that which was earned in a kosher way, that is a true hon adam yakar. In other words, yakar meaning a precious man. True wealth of a precious man is harutz. That is how some commentaries read it. His diligence, not his laziness. He works hard for his money, and he earns it the right way. Rabbis tell us, Kol mi shetarach be'erev Shabbat, yuchal b'Shabbat. Whoever worked hard on Erev Shabbat, Friday, he will have what to eat on Shabbat. One who does not work hard on Erev Shabbat, where will he eat from? What food will he have on Shabbat? Whoever works hard in Olam Hazeh, in this world, will have what to eat and what to enjoy in Olam Haba. That's all called charitzut, diligence. And that is the difference between one who's lazy and one who's diligent. One who's lazy will not have anything to eat. One who's diligent will have. The last pasuk, Be'orach tzedakah chaim v'derech netiva al mavet. In the way of righteousness is life, and in its path there's no death. In the way of tzedakah there's life. Tzedakah, as we said in the past, tatzil mimavet, it gives life. It lengthens one's years. Perhaps if one was meant to live less, because of his tzedakah, his life may be lengthened. If he was in trouble, if he was in danger, it may protect him. And here Shlomo Melech explains a little bit more why that is so. The reason for that is because when we give tzedakah, we're actually giving life to the poor man. You have given life to the poor man, then you will also receive life in return. It's all a midah keneged midah. And as we've explained in the past, there are various levels of tzedakah. Matan baseter, Be'ezrat Hashem will eventually talk about that, the power of giving tzedakah anonymously, where you don't take credit from it, or where the poor man does not know where it's coming from, where it spares him the shame. That is a very high level of tzedakah. Another form of tzedakah is when you give somebody a loan. You also sparing his dignity. It's all it is a loan. And the highest form of tzedakah is when you actually take someone and give him a job where he can earn the money on his own, where he doesn't have to come and ask for favors from people. That is the greatest form of tzedakah. All of these have a tremendous ability of, as we will see later on, of quieting the anger. If there's any accusation against an individual, tzedakah is able to spare one from all these accusations. As I've talked about it in the past, according to the Kabbalah, the impression left on an individual who gives tzedakah lasts for an entire week. Every mitzvah that a person does has a certain impression that leaves behind, and those destructive angels cannot hurt him when they see that impression on his forehead. Tzedakah has a much more lasting impression. But obviously you can't just give tzedakah once a year and say that's it, you've done it. We're always challenged at all times to give tzedakah, and as the Zohar says, the way we should look at those challenges is that this may be a gift being sent to us from heaven. That poor man knocking on our door will be saving us, Khalila, from a major accident that would happen the next day, had Khalila we not given him. So Kadosh Baruch Hu magdim refuah lemakah. He introduces the remedy before the makah, before the accident, and he sends us and gives us the opportunity to save ourselves. So we have to be careful not look down on all these people who come after us, after our money. If we have the right attitude, it won't be difficult. Life is a burden for those who think that everything is difficult and everything is just a burden. But if people were to look at it, this is a gift from heaven. This is an opportunity for me to do a mitzvah. I shouldn't push it off. I should take advantage of it. Then it wouldn't be difficult. You must have heard of the saying in Yiddish. Some say, it's hard to be a Jew. It's not right. You shouldn't say that. It's not hard to be a Jew. It's very easy, depending on your attitude, how one looks at the mitzvot. Is it really difficult to pray? Is it really difficult to put on tefillin? It takes a few moments. Is it hard for us to say thank you? We even say thank you to the policeman when he gives us a ticket. Thanks. So why can't we give thanks to a Kadosh Baruch Hu before we put something in our mouth? Judaism is not difficult. It all depends on what our attitude is. And Shlomo Melech in the Sefer Mishlei, Be'ezrat Hashem, will be teaching us the right way to deal with situations in life, that we have the right attitude and the right values.